Hello and welcome to another episode of Internet Marketing Revealed. My guest today is Manny Hanif. He's a digital marketing specialist from the UK and he's been online for about the last 15 years or so. He made his debut way back in 2006 when he discovered that people will actually pay for information, which is an amazing concept, right? So that sent him down the path of creating a series of short instructional how-to reports where he made his first online income, and that really gave him a taste for the industry overall. Later on, he started up a digital agency where he ran Facebook ads for clients, and that led to him traveling the world, speaking on stage about the subject, where he spoke in London, Portugal, and Morocco. And to bring us up to date a little more, in 2021, he then started his own high ticket mentoring program to help other marketers scale from, well, zero to $10,000 a month, which seems to be that magic aspirational number in the industry. So it seems like you've done a lot, but first of all, welcome to the show, Manny.
Thank you, David. It's great to be on your show, and it's great to be given the opportunity to sort of discuss a few things I've done and help people and share some strategies. But I think right now in 2021, since the last years, we've just seen so many changes. So it would be great to showcase some of the strategies I've learned and how people can benefit from that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're somebody who I've followed on Facebook more specifically for quite some time now. I've seen the kind of results that you're capable of getting. So having the opportunity here to have a chat with you, to pick your brains a little, and to find out exactly what you're doing and how you're getting those results is going to be beneficial for not only for me but for everybody who's listening to this as well. So thank you so much for joining me on the episode today. But before we get into all of this marketing stuff, could you give us a little bit of background information about yourself, first of all?
Yeah, sure. I've always sort of been involved in digital marketing for a long time now, but how it all started is kind of interesting because all my life growing up in the 90s, I was surrounded by adverts on TV. I was surrounded by commercials, toy adverts, and I was a big, huge fan of wrestling. And I know you're a fan of wrestling as well. Literally, I was such a fan. I remember getting my first magazine at the age of 9, and he had the picture of the Undertaker at the front. And I said to my mum, "I want this magazine." I ended up paying, I think, £3, which is about $5-6 in the US industry. I wanted it because I was just a big fan, and then I became so interested in sort of adverts, products, what was being promoted. So what I did was I remember typing in how to make money on the internet. I can remember the exact terms. I Google showed me a bunch of results. There was an advert on the right hand side. It said £100, make £100 a week without having no hassle. I became interested in that sort of lifestyle where no hassle, all you need is a laptop connection. Clicked on the ad, bought the product or the ebook, and I think I spent about £50 of my hard-earned student money, and it was probably the worst £50 I've spent because all I received was a 5-page ebook telling me to go to Google Keyword Planner Overture. I think it was called that time. Do some research on dog training, get a bunch of products and just promote. And I'm thinking, what have I just done? I'm literally so scared. But then I thought, you know what? Take it as a lesson. And for me, the rest is history. And then became over the years, I became fascinated with information because I can remember speaking to my brother, and I said to him, he said, "Well, my friend, he's been selling on eBay." I said, "Okay, what is he selling?" He said, "Well, he sold a bunch of information, and he sold it for about £10." Information. He said, "What kind of information?" He said, "Oh, teaching people how to find wholesalers, compiling a list And then back then, eBay was literally full of digital information. Everyone was just cashing in on the kid. And then for me, from that moment, it changed. I remember buying my first domain name, paid £11, and for me, I was like actively buying and selling domains. And then I thought websites, got into websites, and everything else sort of became different for me then because I was selling information. I was actually writing articles as well. I had the freelance mentality where I want to provide services. So I was actually literally hustling for articles. I was selling articles to people and really enjoying doing it. So I can remember selling my first 300-page article. I got the testimonial and everything changed. That literally opened the floodgates. And when I received my first money in my PayPal account, I think I remember just literally excitedly telling everyone in my family like, oh, this I actually made money online, and everyone was fascinated. So that's how it all started. And then yeah, so the rest is history because again, over the years there's been interesting journeys, ups and downs, and then here I am today sat with you discussing this.
Brilliant. I really like what you said there about when you took those first steps into the information marketing there, where you purchased a product which talked about dog training. It's always dog training. Whenever you watch a marketing video where you've got one of these guru types and they talk about the industry that you're in, it's always
Yeah.
dog training. I have to admit, I've been involved in the online marketing industry now for many years, and everybody I've ever encountered, not one person has been involved in dog training. I don't know about you.
It's probably the biggest sort of secret there is, unless they've got a secret dog. I always say to them, I've got a pet dog called Chico. He's in a shed. So just in case I need to get Chico, my imaginary dog. But listen, everybody's got these examples of dog training, and it works. Just like the number seven works, $7. Why would they price their reports at $7 or ebooks? And it's like everybody goes for the one thing, and then the whole crowd follows. Even with the 10K mark, where 10K is that magical number, everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, there's always these numbers and uh, common things like that that everybody seems to be shooting for. I'm also interested as well in what you mentioned about the domain names as well. If I've got one regret, and I've had a few little regrets over the years, but I think it's probably not getting into domain names as much as I should have done during the early days, because I don't think we were able to register domains in the UK until about the year 2000.
Sure.
So by then, a lot of the really good domains, like the one-word domains, would have been registered anyway, the .coms. But do you have any interesting examples or any big success stories there with the domain name selling?
Yeah, I can remember buying my first domain in 2004, and it was actually on a boxer called Amir Khan. I own amirkhan.co.uk. I can remember creating a fan site. It was actually called fan sites then. And then what basically the idea was, if there's a trending celebrity out there, you create a website around him, and then you monetize it with ads, with ClickBank ads, with a bunch of other CPA ads. And then what I can remember is organic SEO traffic was so easy back then. It was a case of buying a keyword-rich domain, which I bought a bunch of domains, and then simply writing a few articles and promoting it, and then you could be ranked on Google within a matter of weeks, literally. Um, and then what I did is I actually sold my domains. I actually used to park them, meaning if you buy a domain name that's getting a lot of traction and attention, people would actually basically Google a celebrity, and the first thing they would do is type a .com or a .co.uk if it's UK. So I can remember using a website called sedo.com, SEDO. They used to actually pay you to park the domain. So anyone who used to click on the ad, and I can remember making consistently £100 a month on autopilot just by parking my domain. And for me, that was like passive income because everybody talks about passive income. And that for me was like buying a house, putting on rent. So I used to do that domain sort of, and I call it is internet properties, where you're literally buying virtual pieces of estate and then you literally actually just putting them online. And that is like a piece of land that you own, you always link back to. So for me, and then from there on, that changed. I bought .com domains, .co.uk, any trending person, trending topic. You mentioned obviously dog training, related domains to that, around those niches. Everybody was talking about, yoga, fitness, and I bought a bunch of domains, keyword rich domains, ranked them on Google, and they were starting to getting ranked, getting me traffic. Wrote about a bunch of articles on EZAN articles consistently, and then used my domain name websites and just posted on there. I can remember writing one article, I think it was called David Beckham hairstyle, how to get a David Beckham hairstyle, because he was mad back then. And I can remember getting consistent traffic through that every single month. Literally, that was just making me money on autopilot. And then Google, obviously, right now is literally ranking on Google is almost impossible unless you have an authority website. But back then, domain name was literally the main sort of culprit, if you want to put it that way, to that opened up everything for me. Because for me, it was like, oh, I've got this bunch of domains names. Everyone was like showing off. It was like what NFTs are today, crypto or whatever. Back then, domain names was like, hey, I've got this domain name. How much is it? Let's sell it. So it just opened up all the floodgates, and I was excited back then about them, literally, because for me, I felt, oh, anyone can do this. Can buy a domain name, park it, or even flip it. Amazing.
Did you ever run into any issues? You mentioned the Amir Khan site there. Did you ever run into any issues with registering a domain name which was featuring somebody else's actual name?
Absolutely. So basically, there's something called cyber squatting in the UK and all of the world. It's like you buy a domain name. For example, someone bought waynerooney.co.uk. Wayne Rooney got his team of lawyers to get that domain owned and everything. But for me, it was kind of weird because I actually met Amir Khan in an amateur fight in Preston. I actually went up to him, I shook his hand, and said, "Listen, I'm doing a website about you. Are you okay with this? And it's going to be a bunch of information on your competition." He said, "Hey, that's fine." Cut a story short, I developed a forum, had lots and lots of people joining the forum, and in the end, I decided I didn't have much time. I thought, I don't want to continue with this because they was going to have their own official website. So I decided to just own the domain name and just not do anything about it, because at the end of the day, the more a person grows, there is always going to be an issue with copyright and using somebody's name. And that time it was like, you're going there fearless, thinking nothing's going to happen, but there's actually laws where if you use somebody's name, it's always going to come down hard. So I decided to go to the other route where I'm not using somebody else's name. I'm using, existing niches online, markets that you can tap into and literally convert into paid traffic, passive income. For me, that time it was like the craze was multiple streams of income online, and ClickBank was like the main sort of website that people were using, and article marketing, which is also known as bum marketing, because literally that was a term coined that time. And everyone was just going into the craze. I can remember literally that's all people talked about was article marketing, article this, article that, spinning articles and all these tools that came out. So it was absolutely fascinating to see the changes. So then I became interested in all the sort of fundamental ways of making money consistently with um, little websites, mini websites that you can just set up and sometimes even sell and flip. Absolutely amazing that was.
Yeah, there was a lot of opportunity for things like that, going back 15
Absolutely.
years or so, and it seems so easy to do as well. I mean, just moving on slightly then, when did you first start getting into the Warrior Forum? Because that's where where I first remember you from was when you were starting to get into creating these short reports and selling them. So how did you come across the Warrior Forum to begin with?
It was actually a friend, and I can still remember the conversation we had. It was a gentleman called Dan, and he messaged me one day. He said, "Hey, there's a forum, and it's basically literally going to change your life for years to come because it's setting the careers of all these successful marketers." I can remember clicking on the link, and the first impression I got was, "Oh my god, this is ugly. This website is so ugly." I'm like, "Listen, I ain't going to be using this." And then there's always that perception is don't judge a book by its cover. Literally, that's what I did. We as human beings, no matter, we can't deny it, but we always end up judging a book by its cover, like the car, the house, or whatever that is. But this time, when I went to the website, I said, this what is this website? It's just literally a bunch of text-based information. It's meant to be a forum. There's no visual stunning pictures, that's going to entice me. But that one thing is certain: there's a reason behind it why it's got X amount of people. So I remember registering on the forum, introducing myself, and 15 minutes later, I went back on the forum, and literally 70, 80 people were welcoming me on the forum. I'm thinking, wow. I literally posted an intro. Minutes later, people are all around the world are actually welcoming me into their community. And I'm thinking, wow, this is good. And then I can just remember literally just spending hours and hours reading the material, literally reading what people were posting. And that forum itself, it, even to this day, it changed my life. Literally, it changed my life for the better, because I learned so much. I learned so much about me. I learned, I made the right connections, and at the same time, again, as you said, in a person's life, there's ups and downs. You learn, you more. So for me, even to this day, I thank the owner, Alan Sayers, who was the owner of the original Warrior Forum before it sort of went corporate. Um, that literally was a game changer for me, because I learned so much, and not just that, but it allowed me to sort of find out that there's a big world out there revolving around internet marketing. So that changed everything for me, David.
Yeah, I think back then, because there wasn't really any social media as such, the Warrior Forum was like the social media for internet marketing. It was that place where everybody congregated and talked about the industry, and then later on used it as a sales platform, because a thread in that forum then was then dedicated to being able to sell these information products that you created, which I know that's how you got your first sort of entry into the internet marketing industry, or making money in the internet marketing industry. Can you remember what your first product was that you sold on the forum?
My first product ever was revolving around article marketing, because the knowledge in that I was actually doing it. Um, because the danger is you can actually fake it until you make it, and just become an expert with a whatever, wear the expert hat. But for me, I said to myself, I want to do something where it's more me, it's what I'm doing. And for me, the key thing was to, I can remember being very fearful. I was not very confident on audio. I can remember just panicking. If I was going to do a recording, I didn't want to get out there. I didn't want to do a video. I was the guy who was like, oh, I'd write an ebook report. I can do that. I can write PDFs all day, because that was my skill. I was constantly, typing away, but I'm thinking, oh, this should be in an audio form. So I can remember that was my first ever offer. I can remember selling it for, believe it or not, 47 dollars. I can remember selling it for $37. I can remember just making a bunch of my first ever sale that came in. It literally, and I think back then it was called "Buy Me a Beer." Buy me a
Yeah,
beer,
yeah, I
and
remember
they
that.
said, I'm thinking, wow, these beers, these beers are like actually like amazing. They're like virtual beers, and it's actually PayPal money. PayPal, boom, here, sent you a beer. Sent. I'm thinking, you know what? I can get used to this. And then that's where the fascination with reports came. So I thought, oh, $47 is a bit expensive, because some people said on the Warrior Plus offer, you need to sort of give good value, and you need to price it between $7 or 10, 11, 12, just to give a lot of value. So I thought, man, that's the fascination with short reports came. I can remember actually reading a PDF. Alan says private PDFs or something. Basically, it talked about short reports. The person who prevails the most is the one who's going to brand himself. The person who wins big is the person who's going to create an addictive community of people. So each time your new report is out, $5, $7, you're going to make your money back, and you're going to make your money back at the back end. But me being stupid, I never made money at the back end, because I had one report, my front end, nothing else. So I'm thinking, The only thing was that only thing I was doing, David, was I was building my list. I was building a huge list. I remember having a conversation with someone. He said, "Man, do you not get tired of writing reports? You write a report every week." I said, "Listen, the business model works. If it works, it's going to bring me income." And he's like, but you're not making money at the back end." I don't. What do you mean by back end money? Like, what do you mean? He goes, "Have an upsell." I said, "That's going to put my community off. I don't want to do it. If it ain't broke, there's no need to reinvent the wheel." So I kept doing that consistently, built a list, and then what I did, I had a new business model where I went onto a website called flipper.com where you can sort of buy and sell websites. I built a domain name, I built a website around the report. So if it's a topic on article marketing, like a mini site, I would have a simple sales page, boom. And I would basically say, okay, this website, it made $500 in 7 weeks. So all the report sales that were coming in, I was sending people to the sales page. I remember flipping it for $1,500, literally like spending a couple of $100 just getting it up and everything, the graphics. That business model was being copied by everybody else. So basically, we're writing reports, creating a mini site around it, flipping it. And for me, it was like, wow, I've got my business model. And the rest is like history, because the short reports for me, even to this day, I used to call them cash car reports. Then I just wanted to give a name. I think that for me, that just literally changed everything. I think even today that could work. Even in 2021, the idea of short reports or even short videos could work. It's just because so many people are engrossed in other sort of high ticket coaching and selling, they don't really spend time on low ticket offers, which we're going to talk about as well.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely get into that in a bit more detail as well. But I think you're right in what you say there. I think there is definitely room for these sort of instant gratification, quick hit type of low ticket reports, because people are always looking for a quick solution, or you can come up with something that looks very enticing, ask a very enticing question, and then offer the answer to that question for a few dollars. And yeah, you'll definitely make money and be able to make some quick and easy sales with that, which I think would be a good opportunity for somebody who's perhaps brand new to the industry and is still looking to make their first sale. That could be the sort of route that they could go down. But I know you did these reports for quite a while, and you sold, you know, a number of them overall. At what point then did you think, right, I'm going to move away from this? And after you did that, was that when you moved on to the agency with the Facebook ads?
Yeah. So there comes a time in your life when you become sort of literally bored in the same thing that you do. One thing I realized is writing the reports was exhausting. Literally was exhausting, and I was spending. In sometimes I was getting writer's block, and I'm thinking, you know what? There's a better way to automate a business, and there's a better way to. If I wanted to make 2K, 3K, rather than doing reports, it's better to move on to a next business model. So back then, Facebook again was growing and growing. I think Twitter was just starting. So I decided to sort of move into the agency model, and the main fascination was people were actually selling leads to business owners. So they were generating leads to business owners, and they're offering services. Also, back then it was known as the offline craze. Yeah, people were selling simple websites to business owners. I became fascinated with that. I can remember um, creating a website, selling it for £700, and I can remember my cousin in London. He was a big fan of rap music, and he had a website called shadyfans.com. I think it was around Eminem's fan site. He's flipped it for £1,000. This is back in 2009, and I was fascinated. I said, how did you manage to flip this? He said, well, I'm actually flipping it for a client. He owns the website, and he's given me to sort of manage it. And he said, I've sold it for him, and he only took him about couple of weeks to set it up, get the traffic. So I became fascinated by services where you know you're offering simple services like SEO, also setting up simple websites where it's called website renting. So you're ranking websites in Google, and you're simply charging anywhere from £200-300 a month, and then business owners will pay you for the traffic. So basically Their keywords are ranked, and anyone who searches for dentists in Manchester or wherever, their business comes up on the website, and then they get the inquiries. So then I became fascinated with Facebook, and then I've started offering services, lead generation, um, and that for me was like a turning point. But again, everything has its down points, because there's always a ceiling block with anything that you do. But I was enjoying it, so I became. You have my digital agency, and I was running ads on Facebook, because if in 2014, 13, I was running a ton of Facebook ads. So as well as my agency, I also had my drop shipping business with Shopify. So I was creating simple stores and buying and selling from China, selling some bunch of keyrings, and just literally running ads all day long. And that for me was like the turning point, because Facebook was like a blue ocean then when it comes to ads. Every man and his dog was doing it. Literally, you talk to anyone, oh, I'm running some ads. Cut story short, in the present day, Facebook is literally banning your ads. It's literally impossible to even run an effective ad on Facebook without getting slapped. So yeah, that was the turning point back then.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask you what was I suppose the roadblock that you had with the paid advertising thing before you then, well, became a specialist in the organic side of online marketing on Facebook. So it was the difficulty in actually getting these adverts approved. Was that what eventually stopped you from going down that path?
Absolutely. I think it's important to be as honest and transparent as possible in your business. So for me, my clients were complaining, and the complaint that they had was my ads is shut down. I paid you this amount of money. Why are my ads shut down? It's very difficult to explain to a business owner who's busy that, oh, it's Facebook's own team that have shut you down. You could be sort of running ads, and no terms and conditions could be broken, and they would ban you. So I thought, do I really want to rely on ads all this time when there's big opportunities to sort of go into the organic side? Because I was getting good traction on Facebook anyway, with the engagement, with the groups, with everything. So that's when I decided to sort of explore more into the organic side of things, because with Facebook, the main roadblock is ad approval. You need a minimum of at least $1,000 to actually see anything, to see if it works, and even that's not guaranteed. And also with Facebook, like I said, anytime you could be running a successful business using Facebook ads, they could just ban you. And for me, it was like keeping your eggs in one basket. So then I decided to go into the organic side of things, where it was like it was the craze back then, where everyone was just sort of you know making. I can remember reading a lot of posts on ClickFunnels group, where everybody was saying, I've made 100K organically, I've made this amount of much organically. But then I thought, okay, there has to be a method, a system behind this technique. And obviously, guys like yourself, David, where I've seen the way you are, literally creating organic content, and it's getting consistent engagement. And I found that fascinating. I thought, whoa, this is good. Let's utilize the organic side until Facebook changes things. So for me back then, it was like, yeah, this can't continue with ads. I have to do something, otherwise my clients would suffer, and I don't want to continue my agency. So there's got to be a bigger and a better way to get leads without spending money, and that's where I am today.
Yeah, because I've been following you for a little while now in terms of your organic rise to success, and I really like what you do on Facebook in terms of the organic marketing. So we're going to talk about that in a fair bit of detail now, because I really want to know what you're doing, and if there are any tips and advice and all of that good stuff that you can share to help everybody else, myself included, get similar results. So what I've noticed about you fairly recently is like you're able to almost get sales at will organically, and not just little sales, but quite high ticket sales over $1,000 or £1,000
Sure.
at a time. And I know that you've got three strategies that can help organic marketers on Facebook make consistent sales online. So that's something that I want to go into now. So first of all, can we talk about how you generate these leads in the first place? What are you using to attract these people to you through your organic methods on Facebook?
The first thing I would say is, and I would sort of start with a quote, and this quote is, observe the masses, do the opposite. So literally, everybody is obviously jumping into the organic marketing game, which is good. It's good to see a lot of people, and but one thing that really stands out is everybody is doing the same thing to generate leads. What I did was, I found a simple sort of strategy to sort of generate leads, and it doesn't really revolve around creating content every single day, because that can be exhausting. It doesn't really involve around, trying to post in a group and in the hope you get somebody respond to you. What this involves is a simple outreach strategy. And I think the first people, when you mention the word outreach, is, oh no, cold DMs and cold calling. But it doesn't have to be like that. Think about the time when somebody speaks to you on a DM or a cold call. Firstly, the first thing I do is when somebody messages me saying, "How are you?" and the smiley face, and then you go on the profile, it's like Bitcoin, Forex. I'm gonna stay away. That's like scary. But there's actually genuine people out there that literally reach out to you, and they like genuinely have something to sort of offer you. So I asked myself, how can I use the outreach strategy where I'm going to be sending cold DMs to people without offending them? And the one thing that I realized was every potential sale is the same. Every person is a potential customer, but you don't know that. Nobody really knows that. So it's like, how can I turn a stranger into a quality conversation? Because this, I believe in having one quality conversation a week, a day, or whatever. If you have a quality conversation, it leads to bigger things. I also call this, with the inspiration of Mike Filsaime, is the butterfly effect. So small changes can lead to big things. Small changes, no matter how tiny it is, it's like if I post a screenshot of my successes with something that I'm doing, um, it will always have some attention around it. So the strategy simply, it was to use the DM strategy in a way without sounding salesy, and getting people to respond to me, getting people to flow into the conversation, finding out their pains, their desires, and going straight into the point. Because typically what happens now in cold DMs is people are literally trying too hard. It's like, I used to be working in cold calling years and years in sales. And what I realized is the amount of stress I used to go through, like trying too hard, it doesn't work anymore. People can basically go smell the BS. So what you want to do, it's like and I can do the analogy. It's like Roman Reigns when he first started in wrestling, and I'm a big wrestling fan. And if you in wrestling, you're judged on how effective your promo is. If your promo sucks, the market is not going to respond to you. It's just the way it is. But if you've got someone like John Cena who's been there, or The Rock, they grab the mic, people respond to them. It's because they can literally turn a crowd into active, excited people. So when you're doing your cold DMs, you want to basically be yourself, but you want to basically stop trying too hard. Just have a conversation. Like, for example, I'll say, hey, um, let's connect. I know we're in the same industry. Um, and I'm not going to do the fancy smiley faces, because that puts people off. The moment I see a smiley face, I'm thinking, whoa, this is going to be a pitch. This guy is way too nice. This woman is way too nice. What are you offering? So I'm just going to say, hey, remember, you want to basically have like a conversation you're having with your best mate, like me and you are doing right now. There's no sort of, fakery. There's no, oh, I'll get this to you. I'm going to sort of put you into my master, nothing like that. So have a simple conversation like you would do. Remember, it's Facebook. People on Facebook are not there to really buy. They're just there to sort of connect, see what's out there, have a good time. So what I did is I invented this principle, and the principle was this simple formula. So you basically connect, you qualify, and then you basically go into the questions. So connect, qualify, questions. and then that just leads to action. But the action is a phone call. The action is a Zoom call. The action is let's move to the next step. So since doing that, David, is since doing this principle, even today, since today, I've literally separated myself from what everybody else is doing, and it works consistently without sounding too salesy. Because I think that's one area where people struggle, and they just need to get out of that mindset.
Yeah, I think people are afraid of sales, and I think that what attracts them to all of these programs which say that there's no selling involved, no recruiting involved, yet they're in your inbox trying to sell to you, trying to recruit to you, trying to recruit you into the program. So yeah, I totally agree with what you say with the sales aspect there, that it can frighten people away. So I know you have got this 3-step process in place that you use consistently. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're using either Facebook or Instagram stories to generate consistent incoming leads to you? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Facebook stories. I think it's been a couple of years now, and I remember reading an article where Facebook said they are going to devote the bulk of the time to the story placement, because the story placement for me, especially with Facebook, and I know it's been copied by LinkedIn, and then LinkedIn started it, and LinkedIn sort of went off with it because it didn't work. People on LinkedIn don't want to see stories; they want to just see content. But with Facebook, Instagram stories, I think for me that was like, how many eyeballs can I constantly have on my feed? Because on your Facebook feed, Facebook every year 1 or 2% of organic reach is restricted. It's restricted. It's going to happen with TikTok. It's going to happen with all the platforms. And the reason to do this is because they want to put a limit. They want to put a limit to what people can actually do. So with stories, I can constantly generate 100 viewers or eyeballs every single day with interesting stories. And the way to do it is keep it interesting, become a storyteller, become engaged. So you don't really need to use business type of stories every day. Use quirky, a combination of personal stories. I know there's a RVLT formula which everybody else is using, and it's basically lifestyle, or you use, there's a method to sort of post. But with stories, you want to sort of maximize it with what's interesting, what's engaging. So if it's a screenshot of a success, celebrate your small success, boom, post it on. Have a bit of a music video attached to it with the lyrics playing. People can relate to that. Um, get people hyped up, because what I realized is, since doing this, people notice what you're doing and then they reach out to you. So just because of stories, which is, and you don't even need to send people a DM with stories, because they call the stories ends up becoming inbound. So you get inbound leads from stories. So when you do this, um, you do it in such a way where it's not going to offend people. It's not going to sort of become overkill, because some people, they do overkill with stories, and you want to keep it s- snippets, snazzy, 2 or 3 images a day. Probably have a little video there, but you want to sort of just maximize it like that. And since doing that, it's literally changed my business, and I can see who's constantly engaged into my stories, and it's great. And I also notice people put polls on the stories where they literally give two people options of yes or a no. What I found is there's ways to sort of get people to engage. So you give people a piece of content. Are you interested? Yes or a no. But what some people are doing is, instead of a yes or a no, they're saying, they actually say, making people to sort of say yes or send me more info. Because if there's a no, people are is going to take that like rejection. So stories for me, David, has been, I'm a big fan. I'm I'm such a big fan that I love it. I'm addicted to stories.
Okay, would you say then that you're getting better results from the stories than from the regular posts that you publish on your profile, your Facebook profile?
That's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked. I think it depends on the content. What I do notice is, um, for me, writing posts every day is exhausting. I mean, I wouldn't really. I want to be as honest as possible. Writing posts on your profile is exhausting, but the people that really stand out, the people who really have mastered the writing posts, here's what I do: write the post in advance, like in a month, around topics, then post it. But what you want to do is, if you're going to be writing a post on your profile, also post it on stories. So if there's a post that you reach out, so let's say I put up a post on, let's say I put up a post on high ticket selling on Facebook. I'm going to post it everywhere. I'm going to post it on stories, and I'm going to post it on my group. I'm going to let people know that on my profile there's a new post. By doing this, I feel I get more engagement on my post, where I'm going to post it. I'm going to let people know that there's a brand new post on a profile, because what's happening now is organic reach is restricted on profiles. Organic reach is restricted in groups. Groups aren't the same anymore. So you need to stand out. You need to constantly drive people to the post. And I email my list that, hey, I'll just put up a new post on Facebook. Can you check it out? And by doing this, I can still constantly get a lot of engagement on my post. But that doesn't mean I mean, 5 years ago, you could post a piece of content on Facebook profile and say, DM the word comment, boom. That doesn't happen anymore. If I send the word info, I'm going to get a pitch. So you just have to constantly become different and use different strategies to get people to engage on on your profile.
Yeah, I think that's some good advice there. I do agree with you with what you say about people being jaded, perhaps. It seems that every other post on the newsfeed sometimes is somebody asking some kind of question where they're trying to solicit engagement to be able to offer some kind of pitch in the DMs there. So that happens a lot, and I think you do need to try to do something a little bit differently. And what you say, they're using a combination of your stories, your group, your profile, and your email list as well, just to try to get as many people as possible to see that content that you've created. To maximize the return on that time investment that you've put in. Just to move on to the next strategy, you've mentioned before the difference between low ticket and high ticket products. What would your advice be to people on how they can sell each of those effectively?
Okay, so what I would do is have a hybrid offer where if you just have one core offer and it's high ticket and it's 3K, 5K, 2K, in this day and age, what you want to do is, there's going to be a bunch of people who just want low ticket stuff where they just want the strategy and the information, and they're happy to sort of watch of 10 videos, happy to consume a PDF. So you want to cater towards those guys who want to pay $97, who want to pay $47, and then simply provide like a hybrid version of your coaching, but cut down and give it to them. And then there's the people who are happy to pay you 5K, 3K. And those are the people that you want to cater for. But by doing this, you're not restricting yourself. You're basically saying, okay, if you don't have the money to pay 3K, 2K, you can always pay $97, because those $97 guys will eventually become your high ticket guys. So you want to basically differentiate between the two, but you want to cater towards them two market, because that's very, very important. Because I've seen so many people just have one offer and that's it. They don't have a low ticket offer, because I mean, I built my entire business on low ticket. I literally was selling $7 reports even a few years ago, $7 jewels, taking the concept of the reports idea. And even then they were popular. I was like still making good money with the $7 jewels. Um, but and again, it was me saying, oh, there's a person out there in a country that they can't afford 2K, who can, like for example, if it's a Nigerian, and income in Nigeria is very limited, and those guys are like, really working hard. Philippines, some countries they are literally they can't really afford, basic electricity. So I said, how can I cater to that crowd as well? Is it a $7 offer? Yes, there is. Here you go. And they'll be like, those guys will give you the testimonials. They'll become your rabid fans, and that's how it's important to cater for the low ticket guys as well.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I do agree with you in what you say that there are a lot of people, especially on Facebook now and social media, who've gone down this high ticket route, totally invested in that one product, and they can't sell it. So they've got it advertised all over their Facebook profile. I help marketers make $10,000 a month, and they're still waiting to make their first sale. But if they'd had a lower ticket offer as a backup option, then some of those conversations that they're having with people could turn into sales, which would, at the very least, give them some kind of income proof, give them some kind of testimonials, which they can then use as leverage to make those higher ticket sales later down the line. So I think it is a huge missed opportunity if marketers aren't having at least one low to mid ticket product in their arsenal. So you've talked about attracting leads. You've talked about having an offer to give those uh, to give those leads or to sell to those leads. Now, the final hurdle, I think, is actually being able to close that sale. But I know that you've got something that you call straight line selling, which enables you to close those leads on the phone or on a Zoom conversation. Can you give us some insight into what that's all about?
Sure. I think the concept was taken from Jordan Belford, who was also the Wolf of Wall Street, straight line selling. And basically, it's like, let's say this is a straight line. Every sale is the same. So when you are trying to sell to someone, you want to basically keep them within the straight line. If they go off the straight line, if they drift off to Pluto or Jupiter, that means they are literally talking about something else. They're not relating to the straight line. So if you are so let's say I'm selling you something, you're my customer, and I'm saying, and I'm gonna each time say, does that make sense? And you go like, yes, yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna find out your pain. I'm gonna do the intelligence gathering, because what you want to do, you want to gather the intelligence on DMs and on the phone. So find out the pains, find out the income goals, future pace them, get them to sort of visualize what's going to be like in next 5 years. Once you do that, you want to sort of simply get them on a straight line. So you don't want to get them to talk about the weather. You don't want to drift off and saying, "Oh, well, I paid this much money for this." They're going to drift off. So you want to keep them on the straight line as possible. You want to be in control of the call. Like I use the concept from 3 o'clock at night in bed, literally, where I was sending a call DM to someone. They responded. I said, "Oh, okay, let's get on a call." Literally, I had no script, nothing. I just said, "Let's get on a call." The concept of straight line. So I asked him the questions. I said, right, okay, listen, I had a chat with you. This is exactly what you need. You need strategy and direction. And then I went into my pitch. This is what you're going to get. Let's do it. Does it make sense to you? And he was like giving me objections. Well, I can't do this or do that. He's trying to drift off to Jupiter, to Pluto. But again, you don't want to keep them to you don't want them to drift off to Pluto. You want to keep them on a straight line, because at the end of the line is where the sale ends. That's where the close ends. So you want to keep him at that. Now, since using this, David, I think it's been the start of December 2020 when I first started using it. I bought a book from Amazon, which I can recommend to your readers as well. It's Jordan Belford's Straight Line Selling System. Best book ever. If you're doing high ticket sales, please, please, please buy it. No affiliate link, just buy it. Go to Amazon. And the reason I like it is because it's literally such a simple concept where people have to sort of, complicate it. But the bottom line is, if I have to sort of sum it up, is every sale is the same. It's all on a straight line. So if you're selling like dog training products, if you're selling a pen, if you're selling, an iPhone to somebody outside, it's all going to go on a straight line. And the way you do it is just what I've sort of outlined. And in the end, the final hurdle is the sale. It's either yes or the no, and that's where you ask for the payment info.
Okay. Do you have any tips then on how to keep the sale on track, the conversation on track, to keep it on that straight line? Because as you mentioned there, people are going to have objections. People are going to try and steer the conversation in a different direction if they find you asking certain questions uncomfortable, like asking them, how much money do they need or how much money they earn in, all this kind of thing. So do you have any tips that you can share with us here on how you can keep that conversation on track?
Sure. Now, what is very important, David, is what they want to do is firstly, when they are in messenger mode, when they're gathering the intelligence, they put on the intelligence hat. They want to find out if they're working. If they're working, that means monthly income is coming in. They can't go around to say to you, "Hey, I'm broke." They're working. They have to work because if they're not working, if they're broke, then there's no point you having a conversation. Because the danger is too many people are speaking to people who are broke and they're not on the method. So once they are qualified, fully qualified in your DM, once they're on a call, and here's the kicker: you don't even have to get them on a Zoom call to actually close to them. In fact, and here's the secret: 90% of my calls have been on Messenger, literally audio, no video, audio. Messenger. And the way I've sort of kept them on track is if they give me a rebuttal, hey, I need to speak to my partner. Okay, is your partner there? If what would your partner think if you invested into this? I actually remember last week I closed a 2K sale. A very nice woman. Her name is Veronica. She gave me a partner's number. I actually called him. He was at work. I said, hey, your wife Veronica's going to sign up. I'm going to help her with this. And he said, hey, go for it. I believe in her. Are you going to help her? We've never really done this before. This is the first time we're actually paying for a mentorship. And yesterday, we had our first session. She was so happy. And that was just one example because she gave me so many rebuttals. Hey, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not confident. Oh, okay, no problem. I have a mindset coach that can help you as well. She can get on the phone with you. So they're going to give you rebuttals like, I can't afford it. I can't afford 3K. Okay, well, if money wasn't the issue today, would you invest in this offer in a heartbeat? Yes, I would. Okay, well, would you be open to a payment plan? You know what, Manny? Of course, I'll be open to a payment plan. What do you propose? Well, we can do $1,000 now, and we can do $1,000 in a couple of weeks. How does that sound? Yes, I can do that. The other rebuttal they'll be giving you is I've already signed up to Legendary Marketer, I've signed up to XYZ, and they're all the same. Okay, well, you have two options. You can either try to figure it out yourself, watch those videos, or I can help you. I can give you the strategy and direction without the technical know-how. How does that sound? Okay. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it. I'll get back to you in a couple of days. Okay, well, Mr. Customer, what's going to change in 2 days? Whether because there's a motivation for you to get on the call with me today, right? Oh yes. Well, did you check out my website? It's probably a trust issue. That's why you don't want to invest with me. Or it could be something else. Here's my website. Here's the people I worked with. Let's do this. Okay, okay. So shall we get another follow up call later today so we can get you started? So David, these are kind of rebuttals that you'll get, but they're very simple. They're very simple to overcome. I always aim for a one call close, but sometimes they'll have a follow up conversation. You want to keep the follow up there. But the thing with the straight line is you want to keep the desire high. The desire levels are high when they're on the phone. What happens when they're off the phone? The desire levels die down. So whether in the DM or whether on the phone or messenger, it doesn't really matter if you're actually doing the call whilst driving in the car. Every sale is the same. The desire levels have to be such where they're ready to put the money, in your strategy in your system. And that's where I've been using this technique on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. It works every single time. It really does, and it's so simple. And I wouldn't really change it. So what I'm going to be doing for next year, I'm going to be sort of revamping it, changing it a bit, sort of adding a bit of tweaking it a bit, but making it even better to what it is today. Because when we had the blackout on Facebook, every organic marketer was literally panicking, and that's where other platforms come in. So yeah, it really works, David. It really does.
Yeah, that's some really good advice there as well. It sounds a lot like you're having this conversation with a potential customer and you're just trying to keep everything on track. You're trying to think of solutions or simple solutions just so that you maintain them on that straight line. You keep that desire level high so that they're not thinking about reasons why they can't get involved. You want to try and make things as simple and as straightforward and as positive as you possibly can for them. So I totally appreciate you. We've only, I suppose, scratched the surface on all of this stuff. I know you've given us an introduction there to your three-step process, but you've also got a high ticket program yourself where you go through all of this stuff in a lot more detail. Can you give us some information about that?
Sure. So basically, I have a hybrid of one-to-one mentorship, high ticket. It's called hashtag Academy, hashtagacademy.com. It all consists of helping people get their first sale. So if they're in a 9 to 5 job and they basically want to maximize their presence online and make the high ticket sales, be it affiliate marketing, be it with their own offer, I focus on four key elements. Number one, we have personalized branding sessions. We show them exactly how to power position themselves on Facebook with their personal brand by authority, position, and trust. So the right people buy from them, the right people connect with them, and the right people refer them. Secondly, we have social media breakthrough sessions where everything is done organically. And we don't spend a dime on advertising, so it's all done organic, be it LinkedIn, Instagram, not just Facebook, but introducing other platforms as well. Thirdly, we have sort of traffic sessions where I show them exactly how to drive traffic to their offers, drive traffic to their opt-in pages, get people to talk on DMs, how to get people, how to turn strangers into buyers, and then I give them my done-for-you funnels, which really work for me, which have really worked, and all they do is put their branding on, put their name on, and away they go. I think that the main thing that stands out from that is mainly the one-to-one, which I offer, and that will really enable them to sort of get my expertise and have somebody supporting them, guiding them along the way. So that's the offer I have in place, and it's over the course of 90 days. So most of the time, I work with people until they get the first sale, they get the results, and they're happy with everything that they're doing. Because one thing I've noticed is most people, the biggest challenge most people have is mindset and sort of finding the time to actually do this. Because people who are working, they don't really have the time, but it's basically working in baby steps to do this. And that's why my program gives them the way to do it. So I teach them how to close people on the phone because it's not difficult. Sales is very easy in this day and age because of the tools available. All you do is ask the right questions, and there's people out there who will give you. They will be happy to pay you for your solution.
If people want to get involved with that, or if they want to find out more information about you, where's the best place for them to do that?
Okay, so what I'm doing right now, David, is I'm offering a free strategy call to anyone. So they can go to hashtagacademy.com. And if they go to hashtagacademy.com, there's a short video, there's 9 minutes long. It basically gives a bit of information as to what I do, how I work. And if they are happy to get on a strategy call, they click the link, book it through my calendar, and then I will be able to see exactly where they are in their business. If they're a right fit, we can work. If they're not a good fit, I will I will tell them, but I will still happy to give them value, give them strategies that's going to basically help them enable them to consistently make good decisions in the business. So it's not a case of, oh, if they don't want to speak to me, I'm not going to help them. I'm here to help anyone who wants to connect with me, get in touch with me, and just give them the right strategy and the right direction.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Manny, for joining me on the
You're
episode
welcome.
today. Uh, it's been it has been fascinating. I'm really glad that I had you on here to share some of those strategies, and I know
Sure.
that's going to help a lot of people who are listening in, who are trying to make this organic thing work, and they're competing against hundreds of other marketers. So those strategies that you shared today are going to help, and perhaps help people do things a little bit differently as well, not just following uh, the the social media crowd. So yeah, thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing all of your upcoming results on Facebook. As no doubt you'll be publishing plenty of them.
Thank you, David. Yeah, as always, I like to keep the people entertained with stories. But most of all, for me, the biggest satisfaction is other people, students get results. For me, that is like amazing. If they get results, if they're happy, if we're changing lives, I think that's the best satisfaction more than anything because I think we can leave that legacy for other people to follow and for years to come. Not because many people will look back 10 years from now, 20 years, and they'll talk about this organics when it was really easy to make sales just on Facebook. So yeah, it's been fascinating to be on here today, David. It really is.
No, my pleasure. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Please visit internetmarketingrevealed.com and davidwalker.net for more free content. If you need a domain name for your business, visit domainsrevealed.com, where you'll find more than 1,000 premium domains. And finally, please rate and review this podcast. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.